pretty distracting actually.
I think it wouldn't hurt. I think a drone cam would never hurt. My friend Hector has an indoor one, the DJI Spark, and it's actually meant to be inside. It's got enough sensors and it has enough safety limitations where you can not hit the drywall instantly.
See, these are blending it. We talked about this, right? The of it all just like, rotating and self-leveling and him just flipping it around and, while we're trying to talk.
Oh, yeah, you talking about all these flips and shit make me realize we're going to need a really good drone operator.
Yeah.
Because I shouldn't be trying to operate the thing while also talking to you. Otherwise, I'm be boring as hell.
Whatever, and you just crash into my face.
Yeah, the podcast is okay, but just James was grunting a lot and just not really talking.
Sweating profusely.
That entire drone episode.
The drone episode. Oh, we're going to build to it. I'm feeling it.
Yeah, we'll do that during sweeps week.
Yeah.
We'll make sure we put that on during sweeps.
Our 50th, 100th episode spectacular, the drone episode. We'll do it outside.
Hey, I would love to do different numerical anniversaries. Do a 9th anniversary. Do a 16th anniversary. Like really upsetting numbers.
Really, what 21st anniversary? We can drink now, everybody, and we just get drunk the whole episode. It's just us just getting sloshed. I think that's could be a good time.
It's something to consider. This might be 15, by the way, which is kind of an anniversary. 15 episodes.
Almost
15.
Wow.
Actually, welcome to the 15th
To
podcast.
the 15th
I think
episode.
I believe it's the 15th.
Wow. That's crazy.
I was dressing in the same thing every time, so I'm actually not sure the number of episodes, but it seems to be about 15 at this point. I got a steamy ass cup of water.
Hey, well, cheers on that steamy cup of water.
Hold on, let me cheers on your mug handle.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, directly on the handle.
Let's do handle to handle.
Let's
just to
touch
be
tips.
Really upsetting. Great sound.
15th anniversary sound.
The timbre of that mug clank. That was pretty good.
Wow. I can't believe it. Time really flies. It gets moving on you.
It does. Yeah.
It really gets moving on you.
I was at Jewel Lasco, local grocery store here, and on one side of me, it was all winter hats. It was all beanies. On the other side of me, in the aisle to the left, it was all seeds for spring. It's January, folks, in the Midwest of the U.S. So I'm also going to do this regionally, nationally.
Yeah. It's
but
wild.
Seeds right next to winter hats.
Somebody's completely oblivious. Like the merchandiser who's like, I guess we just got to buy the seeds. Like, why? Why would you do that? I guess people like to, you know what though? Early bird catches the worm, right? There are a lot of people who would start planting their stuff and, but it's just so crappy out.
It is so crappy out, but I fucked up buying some like quote unquote adult stuff over the last couple of years because I didn't buy early enough.
Oh.
And it's really woken me up.
Yeah.
Like, I did not buy a Christmas tree bag until like Christmas was over. Then I had to throw out my tree. And by then everyone was just like, yeah, they're gone. Everyone bought those 2 weeks ago.
Wow.
Like the Christmas tree bagging industry, the body bag Christmas tree industry.
Certain timed products, you got to get them while they're good and then they're gone.
Have you been bitten recently? Like, I don't know. Were you trying to germinate seeds in May?
No, I don't germinate seeds. No. Somebody actually, I was reading something though, this volunteer guy, he buys all the Santa hats. When they're closed or like at the end of it. He
I might have
buys
seen that.
all of them and then he donates them the next Christmas for free and he gets them at like cost, right?
That's really great.
I was like, oh, that's a really nice way. That's like a zero waste type situation too,
I
thought
thought
where are those hats going?
I thought about that though. I did think about that. I saw that exact thing you're talking about. Dude buys like 500 hats at the store.
It was nice.
If you give up, and he's giving it to orphans?
Yes, of course he's giving them to orphans. Sick orphans.
I'm trying to think of it. There's like a more polite way to say orphans, like children currently without homes.
The politically correct way of saying orphan.
I just thought about it. I didn't know if it existed.
Is that where we're at right now?
No. Is there a word or no?
I'm offended by being an orphan. That offends me. Oliver Twist is rolling in his pretend fictional grave right now.
Talking about these orphans. No, but like those orphans using those December 26th, then December 27th, and then sure enough, December 28th, orphans, they still have the Santa hats.
Still orphans too.
Do you think it's weird if you like go to school and you're wearing like the Santa hat as like your beanie? As your normal hat?
That would be interesting, I guess. I mean, people are weird, though. People might have a little quirk. I guess at that age, though, it's a little,
What's your time frame? Like Christmas season? Like,
I don't know.
Can you wear a Santa hat to school in January, mid-January? You get shit for that.
Yeah, you would. Put it out in July, though, and just having the Santa hat rocking in July. You could do it for goofs, right?
Christmas in July.
But I think, if you're still rocking it like this time of January, people are like kind of giving the eye, like, what's wrong with this guy?
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
You could bring it out, I think, in like
22nd
November.
of January, by the way.
Yeah, 22nd January. The 15th anniversary spectacular.
It's a little odd. Still be wearing a Santa hat at this point.
It
wouldn't you say? I just think it'd be kind of a funky thing.
It will be.
But that's just because people get real sensitive about Christmas.
Well, I think right now we're in a stage timing. Everything with the seasonal time, it's like Thanksgiving is on top of Christmas, is on top of Halloween, right? You got to time these. There's no space between everything.
Well, next up's Valentine's Day, so we'll do the Valentine's special.
Right around the corner.
Really, 15th, 14th maybe? February 14th, that would have been good for the 14th episode. I should have waited. We've been recording these too fast.
Big mistake. Well, we'll have to record the 16th on the 16th then, right?
We got too much to talk about.
So much to talk about.
We're going to have to hurry up, actually, to hit a higher number. Maybe, I can do the 69th episode on February 14th. Is that possible?
Interesting. Wow. We'd have to do a lot of podcasting.
A lot of pods.
Wow,
we would be 69
at that point.
Yeah.
We're sleeping in the same bed. We're just podcasting from the bed.
No,
with
that's
each
like
other.
literally 2 a day for 4 weeks.
Oh my God, yeah, you're right.
It'd be a lot. It'd be a whole lot to handle. But we'll look at the math.
We'll crunch the actual numbers. I like you that much, James.
Tell me on February 14th.
Right.
When we get there.
We're episode. Actually, it's -12. We're actually lost a couple in the interim. We deleted a couple.
I'm gonna do that at some point.
Matt said some pretty politically insensitive things, so we had to kind of pull back.
I mentioned before having the trivia party. For the trivia party, I'm always like overly obsessed with the number it is. So like I just had the 7th one. So like just a lot of 7 iconography, just 7 in any form possible. I would do the same thing for this. Only I should like misnumber the podcast. And like when I write it on YouTube or some shit as like number 16, it should actually be like number 25. Like actually make them horribly out of order.
People are like, what? This doesn't make any sense. He's
so
talking about this.
It's infuriating if you're trying to watch in any sort of sequence. Like it's almost a puzzle to put them in order. What was filmed first?
Really just give the middle finger to our viewers and listeners. Like you literally have to start at 1 to get through all of them. It's like, this says 16, but I know it's...
no, I change it like every week. I would just like keep changing it.
Super malicious, like.
Well, I mean, once someone got close to the solution, they would post it in the comments. That'd be it. I have to change it every couple of days. Wow. I'm sure, maybe every hour. I don't know. I have to look into this.
This is a very interesting way to get people to listen to the podcast, right?
Or not, yeah.
Or not, right?
Or have an excuse for people not listening to it.
Right. Oh, they're not listening. They just don't understand their format.
I just did this number thing, It was like really ridiculous, and like it was hard for anyone to actually see.
It's a genius idea, and if you really were dedicated and you want to listen to me, you'll figure out the scheme.
Yeah, I can find a way to explain it.
Yeah,
I can find a way to make it smooth.
We can justify anything.
Yeah, we can justify anything. It'd be a good tagline for what's been going on in the news recently.
You can justify anything.
You can justify anything.
It's all politics.
We got a president being impeached.
Right. We have a president being impeached. He was impeached, and now we're in the trial. See if he's going to be removed from office. Just in case we're updating you.
Yeah, we have a president in the impeachment Senate process, in the trial portion of his impeachment. He's been impeached. You're right.
Yeah, yes.
You're right. I should rubber stamp him like that. But Clinton was impeached. It's just like,
he was. He absolutely was. Can't take it away. It's it.
It sucks because it really takes the sting out of it. The fact that it happened a couple presidents ago. I was like,
3
happened in the 90s.
Only 3.
People get impeached.
Yeah. It's an interesting what the difference was though. His was like what? I can't remember what his was. It was like
he was lying.
Perjury, right?
Yeah, he was lying
perjury,
about his involvement with Monica Lewinsky.
Right.
Under oath, specifically when they asked him, like, sit down and tell us what happened.
Did you do it?
Just start at the beginning.
What is the definition of is, right?
Yeah,
Isn't
all
that
shit.
Is?
Exactly. All that. Well, besides that, we got the coronavirus, right?
Right. This which originally I heard was snakes. The coronavirus.
Okay.
Because I think there are people making jokes already, like, "Oh, I have my coronavirus," and it's just people just drunk on Coronas.
Got you.
But yeah.
Actually, I've read it like 50 times today and yesterday.
You just read the word. You don't necessarily.
And today, saying coronavirus on film and.
It's
HD video,
super
full
fucking
HD
funny.
video. I was like, I'm not saying that right. Something just went wrong when I just spoke out loud.
We're
but
totally
it is that.
No, wait, we're not. I know that we're not. And they're listening, and people are like, these fucking assholes. Yeah, coronavirus, but that's what we're calling it, and that's what we're sticking to it.
Anyway.
Until corrected.
It's been rough out there.
Yeah, dude, that's crazy.
The virus is freaking people out. The impeachment thing, obviously.
You had like a volcano in Indonesia.
You mentioned that. I'm not really up on that.
There was a volcano, and then there was just an earthquake in Turkey, pretty severe one.
Yeah.
I heard there was an earthquake in California, a small one.
Oh, plenty.
My guy was telling me about his son. He's just like, yep, had his first earthquake. He moved out there.
Plenty of rough shit in California.
Crazy.
That's just had thing after thing.
Australia still on fire.
More fires. Yeah.
I'm just saying.
That's a bad one. You got to mention that one.
I'm gonna end this with the doomsday clock moving 100 seconds.
You can justify anything.
You can justify anything.
We need to like reboot Doctor Strangelove or something, but give it some sort of 21st century spin, where as opposed to the world ending in like nuclear war, I don't know, the war ends something to do with Netflix, something to do with your cell phone.
Wow. Everyone's cell phone just explodes and it just kills them. You know, some like big virus and it just overheats something, and
it's got to be like a play on mutually assured destruction, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, the Russians and the U.S.
Yeah.
So it'd have to be like you and your partner each have a cell phone, and you have the ability to destroy each other's phones remotely.
Oh,
something like that. Like if your phone gets lost, somehow it's like a safety feature that ends up being built into iPhones. You
gotta. We either destroy all of them or they don't. You know what I mean? You have the choice. You know, are you gonna pull the trigger? Are you not gonna pull the trigger?
There's a hack that you can destroy them all at the same time. Like someone gets into that partner system and then just blows everyone's phone up, and the world lives phoneless.
It's, you know, I tell you what, it's a disinformation war, right? That's what it'd be about. It'd be about each side, like lying enough about the other side to the point where they're like, whoa, this is too far. We push it too far, and then they end up going to war, right? Like they're doing it. They're almost like the two what is it? Governments are kind of like, okay, let's amp up our people to kind of start some stuff, but then they amp it up too far, and then there's just this horrible war, and they're going at it. But it's all because of disinformation and lies and all that shit.
I think that can happen. I know disinformation has been a horrible scourge on the information age so far, but I think eventually. Maybe I'm being an optimist about this. Eventually, some sort of technology will come out that just lets the cream rise to the top.
You're being an optimist about this. There's just so much.
Look,
there's just so much.
Disinformation can be more salacious.
Yes.
Can be more interesting, but I think if it doesn't have proper attribution, I think it can fall to the wayside. If we structure algorithms in a way that prioritize just the number of times something comes up.
Okay, you're assuming that people are as smart as you, one, and you're also assuming that people want to make algorithms that are beneficial to other people and not beneficial to their pockets, right?
Correct. But maybe there'll be a market incentive.
I wish people would go to the lowest common denominator, right? Because I don't think they do. I think that's what they do, right? The disinformation targets the lowest common denominator people, and they're the most easily influenced, easy marks.
I love creating new businesses on this podcast.
Let's do it.
Let's spitball ways to monetize
disinformation.
Information. Correct information.
I don't know then. I'm
the truth. Loss. How can you monetize reality? Monetize the truth.
Man, I don't know. I don't know how to profit off the truth, James.
I'm ready right now. I'll start this. I was gonna say I was gonna do some like nonprofit based. I'm like, wait, that doesn't count.
Doesn't count. You gotta be like profit on it.
Yeah, what am I thinking?
I
work at a nonprofit, so that's why I'm like obviously thinking that.
It feels comfortable to you. It feels comfortable to you.
It's got to be. How about this? In the same way they have security firms where they try to hack into your company's website and tell you the security flaws, you could do that, I think, for disinformation. Like if you find out how to target or take down a disinformation video and it's relevant to a party, you could be like a bounty hunter for that. Be like, hey, are you willing to pay $10 for this video that's circulating that's already got 450,000 views? 500,000 people thinking you're full of shit for $10. Will you take that down?
Here you go. Somebody follows the things you read, right? Like they have an algorithm that they've made for you that tells you when you look that thing is disinformation, right? So you pay for a service that is.
There you go.
You know what I mean? How about that, right?
That's the one.
That you're like, when you look at it on Instagram and it's like, Instagram has its own thing, but it's like, no, this is an outside service that'll even go further. And they go, no, that's total bullshit. You know, you have like a whole system set up.
I would pay for that now.
Right? There you go, right?
The thing is, the disinformation has to become prevalent enough, though, for there to be a cost that people are willing to pay for. I think that's what's already happening. I'm being positive in saying that Facebook, although they've been terrible, to some degree, I mean, in my circles, I mean, I'm not seeing disinformation constantly. I'm seeing more true things than not,
sure.
And which maybe that's a terrible bar, just to make Facebook get at the 51% required.
But again, I think that's
content.
The algorithm, right? The algorithm that that was the whole situation, right? Facebook had Cambridge Analytica, Facebook had a thing, and they were targeting specific people. So they know already what you're into, and they know that it's no use targeting you. But Joe Schmo on the street that likes these specific things.
Well,
maybe we could slide this ad in that. In between some stuff that's true, that's like,
I agree to that.
You know
100%.
what I'm saying? And then
it's people in your network too.
It's very innocuous, right? It's very innocuous.
Yeah, it's small steps. It's definitely small steps. I would pay a certain amount of money per month. I'm trying to think of the number. If we're more or less than $5, I think $5 is the place to start.
but I mean, add more services to it, right? You could add more like, like anti-disinformation. Here's positive news sources that are sourced a little bit deeper. You know what I mean? This journalist is more accurate. How about bias reading too, right? You could see like certain journalists have more bias to them. So when you read an article, it's like, oh, not only is this disinformation, but this is like...
How are you going to do this, though? Are you going to score these people from L to R? You're gonna look at the political spectrum and give them a score?
I think you can go like a little bit, more than that. Like not just necessarily conservative, or are they an optimistic person? Is this a pessimistic view? Is this somebody that is reliable? Have they said nonsense in the past, right? Or is this somebody who's generally has factual information? Also, are they a dirty liberal, or are they just a super excellent conservative?
But also, it might be hard if like a computer to look at what's actually a joke or not, though.
Sure.
Because you could say something.
Sarcasm.
Correct. Yeah, which is very complicated and involves a lot of other like connected information.
How are computers going to understand humor? That's what I want to know. How is that even going to be a thing? Not to sidetrack us completely, which it just did, but crazy, right?
I think there's different dimensions to humor. I think I first heard this from Scott Adams. I definitely did. Humor is absurd. Humor is cute. There's like different types. Like when you see a little cute animal and that's like funny, but you could also see just someone with like the biggest pants you've ever seen. It's just absurd,
right? How
large their clothing is, and they're funny, but they're funny in like these different ways. I think you could optimize for those ways. Those funny dimensions,
right.
and that it'd be easier to
quantify
for that. You can look if a computer sees that this cat photo that's looking cute with these certain dimensions, with these certain eyes, was liked a bajillion times.
Right.
A computer could generate something that's like funny looking based on those prior dimensions, and that's just one example.
Exactly. Yeah.
Not the thousands and thousands it would be able to cross-reference or
Carpaccio. You'd instead of doing clicking the fire hydrants, you'd think, which is a funny photo? Which is a funny photo? What joke makes you laugh?
CAPTCHA, that thing?
Thank you. CAPTCHA? CAPTCHA. Coronavirus.
That's terrible. But I don't know. It depends. I don't think the CAPTCHA thing would be the way.
Fine.
That they would do that?
Fine. Okay.
But
let's get
actually,
off
that was a money-making scheme too.
Which?
The CAPTCHA thing.
Yeah, right.
The's been all sorts of
it's all
stories
how
out
you
about
get
that.
your data.
Right.
Get your data, get your, what I mean, crowdsourcing lots of information, right? That's a big deal, right?
Getting people when they're performing a security check do a little data evaluation work for you.
For you, real quick.
Machine learning.
I'll let you get in. No, now you're not a robot. We know you're not a robot because we're using you to train our robots to make them more like you.
Are you generally optimistic or pessimistic about the future as it relates to technology?
I don't know, man. Honestly, when I was younger, I used to be super optimistic, right? Like, I was a Star Wars kid, as we all know. So I had a super bright, Star Trek, super bright future, right? But the more you get into the future, it's more like, ooh,
Looks a little squirrely.
It does. How is technology made? How does your cell phone make? The sustainability, you start thinking of like the sustainability of everything, how it's all, you think one phone and then you end up 10 phones over the course of your life. It's like, I don't know. The very
it's an extension, of yourself.
Consumerist nature of what technology has become is not a great thing.
Sure, but you could say the same thing for like video cassette tapes and CDs
Sure.
and all these material objects that I still think have like intellectual value.
Yeah.
That are worthwhile despite their material weight. Computers, with technology, things are almost getting magic at this point, right? The way you can have those formerly 100 LPs, all these records that you now have in like, something that's ounces.
Moore's law, right? The amount of data we can store is so much bigger on such a smaller spot.
I have a 1 terabyte hard drive now for my computer that's so fucking light and small that it hangs off the side by its cord. I don't even have it like a table. I'll walk around with my computer, and this probably sounds terrible to people.
Yeah. How is he doing that to his tech?
But it's so light now. It sounds ridiculous, though. Back in the day when you need like an external hard drive that was an actual disc, you're carving shit onto a disc.
Right. That picture of Bill Gates has been floating around with him when it was like he introduced like the CD-ROM, and he's like in the one of the forests in Seattle with like a big ream of paper, and he's like up in the redwood trees, and it's like, oh, this is how much data fits on the CD-ROM, and it's like, he's like 60 feet high.
Good marketing.
It's like, wow, that's a lot of data.
Really,
and now when
marketing.
you think now you're
700 megabytes, if I'm not mistaken. Used to use a lot of CVDs, yeah. Used to have a CD burning business back when like pirated music was still a thing. There's only like Kazaa, and you like couldn't even get albums. Like it was just songs because it was so data intensive.
Hell yeah.
We would take orders of like people's mixtapes. They wanted like these top 10 songs that were on the radio at the time, and we'd illegally download them and then sell them a customized mixtape.
Wow, that's super fucking illegal what you were doing.
It was.
That's a very piratey.
Allegedly.
That was a piratey thing. I like that.
Allegedly, me and this guy Elias were working on that.
Naming names, dropping names. Son of a bitch. That's great. Though.
I'm just fucking around. That didn't totally happen. It was awesome. To be honest, though, when you're that age though, and you have a mix CD of your custom songs at 14, that is like a superpower thing. And it's just because technology was rough at the time.
Yeah.
If you had a CD burner, if you had that kind of shit around your house, frankly, it was your obligation to your community.
You had
to rip some CDs to make everyone's day a little bit nicer.
Right. With
those customized, I don't know, $10 mix CDs or whatever the fuck we charged for.
Steve made him burn me several CDs over the course of our life because he had a nice CD burner back in the day.
If you have that access, you got to hook people up. But yeah, 700 megabytes for the CDs. I think
access
Bill Gates.
to technology, right? That's an interesting another thing. You know, not everyone has access to all this technology. These beautiful technology that we have.
Yeah, I meet people all the time from different countries who have, really not used a computer in any major way. Often mobile phones, like smartphones, but not like a desktop type computer. They kind of skip that stage.
Just got a smart TV, and I can use my phone to change the channel, and I can talk to my phone to make it do things, and it's very crazy.
You like it?
Yeah, I just got it today, actually. So.
I've had an Apple TV for years, so I've experienced it.
Oh, so you're just
in the form of at least airplaying stuff from my phone to the TV.
Yeah.
It's been insanely convenient.
It's super, yeah.
But the smart TV thing where you can talk, that's nice. Because a lot of times the interfaces are awful, especially when you have to do like text-based input.
I'm not really a big fan of we've just discussed the always listening to me. You know what I mean? Like waiting for my,
I get that.
Who's gonna hack it? I don't know.
Them,
the other.
They're coming.
I know the kids are gonna really love like yelling at it to do things.
Have you seen any of those criticisms of the devices that it's teaching children to like give orders as opposed to like communicating in a rational or kind way?
I feel like I've heard something, but it makes a lot of sense.
The Beatles.
And you're not saying there's no please or thank you. You're just demanding the. And how are we teaching us to deal with AI, right? What if AI becomes so intelligent, right? And then we're just treating them like fucking slaves, right? And they're like, wow, these people suck. They're just demanding things from us, and we understand what they're doing to us, right?
That's why people are so freaked out about machines and computers. Is
Machine learning.
We treat them like shit.
Right.
We don't treat them with the same respect that we would treat any form of life with, even including like some people with flies, or like insects. Some people don't want to kill insects.
Right. To
treat maybe your $2,000 computer maybe worse than you would treat a fly. You would smash.
Right.
But people throw stuff out, and I don't know. It's just there's not the same attachment to like a dog. Obviously, I try to make it as extreme as possible in the other direction.
Right. But Bicentennial Man, remember that movie? Rob Williams, and they have the robot, and he ends up becoming, you know what I mean? He lasts so long, but they're gonna throw him out, right?
I have seen that. Is that what happens at the end? He just gets like outdated.
Yeah, well, like he should have become outdated, but because he's become so human-like, he ends up, moving into becoming a human, right? He gets like the skin tone and blah 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 and flesh, and then by the end of the movie, he marries his love, and then it's like, on his deathbed, you are officially a human, and then he dies, and that's it. It's a great movie.
I've definitely seen it in theaters back in the day, a long time ago. I have to watch that again.
Classic.
Especially I've been so hot on Westworld
for
a couple years.
That's so great. It's real.
Time for Bicentennial Man again.
iRobot, another one.
Yeah.
Both Isaac Asimov, right? He was a big robot machine learning guy. He's got some great books, dude. Great books.
Yeah, I didn't realize Bicentennial Man was him.
I believe so.
Oh, got you.
I mean, I'm almost positive it's in one of his short story books. It's like
Robot
that's
dude.
one of them.
Would you be into writing like a robot story, AI type shit?
Sure, absolutely.
Would that something you could see?
Yeah, absolutely. It's super fun. Do
you read much stuff like that?
I used to read a lot of that kind of stuff. I used to read so much science fiction, and then I got to a certain point where, like I was saying, I become pessimistic, right? And you read old stuff. I used to read a lot of old stuff, and then you're reading it's like in 2017 the world, and you're like, yeah, it's like 2019, and that shit's totally not right. And they have no concept of the internet, right? So it's like you're reading about this tech, and you're like, man, the internet would solve that problem already, but you just don't know that exists. So shit like that.
That's the thing with technology. It's not linear. You can't quite guess how the jumps are going to go, and they are some fucking jumps.
Leaps.
You know, something like a smartphone technology that's extremely recent. Internet technology, extremely recent.
Wireless technology, everything connecting.
Jesus.
You know,
Yeah.
like home automation, lights off, lights on. Like you can't really. I mean, you can hope that that's a thing, but like just to see it all happening so quickly. Like,
Yeah. Because right now you could probably, I know there's companies that are starting to basically 3D print homes. Like what if you like tried to come up with a new construction business where you were basically
giant printer.
Yeah, you were just printing homes. You'd have to do it in a certain economical fashion, do a certain number together, or I don't know, I'm sure the materials
People
would still
could
be
literally
difficult.
pick their point. You know, like here's your diameter, here's your Sims house,
Right.
make your Sims house, and then we'll.
We went from Build-A-Bear, where you could like build your own teddy bear, pick the squeaker in it, you know, stitch your own initials on it, to you being able to 3D print your own home in 100 years.
Own home.
Fuck, 30 years.
Why
How
not?
long?
Now
How long is
imagine
this going to
that.
end up being?
Like imagine that now we're taking it a step further, the Wild West, where you know we're going to other planets, and then instead of like log cabins, we're 3D printing our homes, and like you know,
Oh,
you have
yeah,
the
3D
frontiersmen with
You
their
know-
just assembling these giant printers, and you know,
I don't know about you, but if I'm moving to Mars, I'm definitely 3D printing my home and shitting it out there, you know, throwing it on the planet before I arrive.
absolutely.
Turn the heat on, you know, get it all nice.
Right.
Oxygen tanks,
Hey,
what
that's
have
what they
you.
do, right? They send the first initial fleet ships out, and then you follow with the rest of the people, right? You gotta start the little colony.
Definitely, man. I have a place up in northern Wisconsin, and I've actually never been there for the winter. And it's like not meant to be there in the winter. It's got no heater.
But you want to try it?
I want to try it. I definitely want to try it. It's got a fireplace, so we've used that, and it's got like maybe like an oil-filled radiator.
I would definitely
Providing some heat
I would
if you wanna
totally
plug
do
it
that for
in.
a weekend, like a week, or how long?
But you
how
need,
how long would you go?
you need extensive paving or plowing to get the snow out of the way. It's like you'd have to snowshoe in the place. It's like covered. You know, in northern United States, they get a lot of snow coverage, but also they just don't have the infrastructure that we do. Like their
Rent
roads
some
aren't being cleared.
Snowmobiles. We'll rent 2 snowmobiles.
Definitely that.
We'll get a truck.
Get a
and then
Jeep-
we'll park
Jeep Wrangler
the truck
or some
and just
shit.
like snowmobile out, right?
Now
And
we're
then
talking.
Camp out there.
Anyway, the thought of going up there in the winter is scary to me. Like to go up there maybe in a car, and yeah, you're in your warm car, but then you get out and you have to like make the cabin warm. Like, what if you just have to create your own fire, or you have to like survive?
You're giving me anxiety. You know what book that always freaked me out was Into the Wild. You ever read that
I
book?
didn't,
John
no.
Kerouac? And it's about the guy,
I'm
Chris
familiar.
Candless, and
Yeah.
the whole thing. But that's what he
Especially
was
the
about.
ending.
Yes, right. But that was what he was about, though, right? He was about just like doing these like crazy hikes. Like I'm just gonna go out into the wilderness,
Pushing the limits, right?
and yeah,
Humans are capable of a lot of shit.
crazy,
whole lot of
things.
shit.
Crazy,
An
things.
incredible amount. Even each individual, everyone's so much more capable than they realize.
Do you? But it freaks you out. But do you think you could do it? You think you could sustain yourself?
I
out
would
there?
definitely revel in it to some degree. You know, to just be total present on the task of trying not to freeze to death,
Right.
to be fully invested in not dying. So fighting for your life. I mean, there's something that's amazing about that immersion.
How about those 3 guys that just road boated across the Atlantic Ocean?
Did they?
Yes, I just was reading this. Yeah, across the Atlantic Ocean, and like I
They
was
just
like,
take turns, or like was it an
2
accident?
Hours,
What
2 hours
happened?
of sleep. No, they did it. They trained for it, and they did it. And so they were talking about it. I was reading an article about it, and they were talking about how, you know, the one guy when he came home, you'd sleep for 2 hours, then he'd wake up and you'd row, and then he'd sleep for 2 hours, and he'd wake up and he'd row. So every time he'd fall asleep, he'd wake up right again. You know, because he was ready. Because if you didn't wake up right again, you know what I mean?
God.
You're rowing for like 3,000 miles or something like that. So they did it in like it was like 2 weeks or something like that.
Jesus.
But it was like the amount. I just was thinking about the intensity.
They
and
must
the
have been
strain on their
followed by
body.
someone, right?
I don't know.
Drone.
Drone is a drone
A
follower.
fucking drone up there with a solar charger, trickle battery, or something.
Which again, and then another story similar was a guy who was doing the you know those bubbles that you run in, you put
Yeah.
yourself in. He was gonna go across to Cuba from Miami.
I'm going to Miami.
Yeah, so he was going there, and then they had the Coast Guard out. He's like, I just need to do this thing. This was on Vice, and he's just gonna like roll himself over because nobody's done it. Everyone's done it every other way. So the Coast Guard's out there like, you can't do this. What
Yeah.
are you doing? Please turn back. You're gonna die.
Do you know how far it is?
I don't.
I know exactly by the mile. 90 miles.
Oh well, that's fucking chump change between rowing 3,000.
It's chump chase.
But I like.
But he's
that they
doing it
let-
in that dumbass ball.
Right,
That like.
but I like that they let the
hamster
3
ball.
guys do 3,000, but this guy going 90. Just like I'd be like, let the fucker kill himself. You know, this is Darwin and evolution at work. Let him go. You know.
Yeah,
But
I
he
don't
wanted to be special. He wanted to do the thing, and I think ultimately he makes it and all that.
Well, we all want to be special, at least to ourselves, to be able to accomplish something more special than you did yesterday.
Unique snowflakes we all are.
I did something like that. I like swam across the lake. place I have in Wisconsin is on a lake, so
Nice.
I swam across.
Nice.
And I was followed by a rowboat though to make sure I didn't drown to death.
Nice.
But it was fun.
You
And
little
it was
bitch with a safety net. Just go. Like, come on, dude. Just do it. If you don't think you can do it, don't do it. You know. Next time, just do it. Right.
Would you feel any better if I told you I took a drink of beer and I hit a weed in the middle of the lake as I was doing it?
That's pretty.
Would that
baller.
sweeten the
No,
deal?
well, if you're bringing your drugs with you, that's a whole different issue. It's not that they're safely there. It's like, I need a buff, and then you're smoking. Thanks, dude. And then you keep going. That's just baller shit.
Not bad. I don't know if I drank. I did smoke a little bit of weed though. Mid-lake.
Like on your back, just trying to not get it wet.
Yeah, keep the joint dry. Exactly. I can't remember what it was. I think it was a vape pen or something.
Oh, even
it might
better.
Have been a joint.
See technology.
So I had to keep the battery up in the air. I
You.
was kicking and shit.
Don't want to short the battery out, right?
I don't know how that went, but
See, that's
anyway, got across the lake, and then your self-concept changes once you've accomplished something like that. Especially me. I was going up to that lake for 25 years, and I had never seen someone go across. I'd never been across. I didn't know if it was possible.
How far?
I should know this. I don't know.
Not 90 miles, I bet.
It was not 90 miles. It was shy. 74 miles.
I was going to say 80 miles, 82 and a half.
A few miles shy.
Still, that's super awesome.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you like that's like that sense of accomplishment. You know what I mean?
I feel like I want to do shit like that. Like, have you had any
Tesla. I'm trying to think, but
bucket list type
I'm
things?
sure I have, but I can't
must.
think. I can't think of it right.
trying to
off the top of my head.
top yourself, trying to beat your record in video games at least?
Oh yeah, but that's
counts.
that's a dorky ass bullshit. You know
Hey,
what I
that
mean?
counts.
I
It's
don't think that's
very
that's-
quantitative. You could see.
That's true.
Look at your ratio.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's
your
cold.
kill death ratio. Oh man.
What kind of killer were you in this game?
Yeah.
How well did you do? Were you worth your salt?
There's
Are you at 1.0?
There's certain games that I felt like I was at a very elite level playing the game, you know, in a multiplayer setting, you know, where you feel like you're, you know, but it's different. I feel like this is more of like a self challenge, not you against people. That's like more you, man versus nature, you know.
I guess, but nature's way more powerful than any person. So.
Absolutely. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I did the what is it in high school? At the end of high school, we did the voyageur trip where we spent like 9 or 10 days in Canada doing the border waters, and we would like took the canoes and we were doing like, you know, we just had a 9-day hike around the border waters, and you know, you had them. My good friend John, he actually has the map still of like the route we took and all the places we went, and you know, you pick up the canoes, and that was like 8 or 9 days, and that was tough.
So
I actually read The Shining when I went to that trip. I brought The Shining. Everyone got so pissed because I brought a book.
Pretty funny that you brought that one too.
Fuck yeah, it was great.
Yeah,
but yeah, it was intense. It was an intense trip.
That's a lot. And you know, you basically, it sounds like in conditioning for your trip to Mars or
The wilderness.
your future trip to northern Wisconsin with
Yeah.
me in January.
Oh man, it was a lot of fun. It took some getting used to, you know.
Did you learn any like true skills like starting a fire with a bow or by scratch?
I did do Boy Scouts for a while, and I don't remember any of it.
You did Boy Scouts?
I did.
I didn't know that.
I did Boy Scouts. I did Weeblos and Boy Scouts. I did Boy Scouts like maybe like 2 years.
What's
2 or 3
Weeblos?
years. Weeblos is before Boy Scouts. It's like Cub Scouts. It's like
Oh.
Cub Scouts. I think Weeblos, you become a Weeblo from Cub Scouts or something. I can't remember. But then it's like you're right into Boy Scouts and then you Boy Scouts. So I did that for a couple, like 2 or 3 years, and there was a lot of cool camping trips and shit like that. And
Okay, so you got some skills to talk about. You got a background.
I mean, it's funny. I've done my fair share of camping.
Do you carry
but
a knife with you 24/7? Yes or no?
No, I do not. I should.
Do you carry a flint or anything else that would be relevant in this fire starting story?
This like 20 object Swiss Army knife, you know, the one like the super fat one. No, but I carry this.
I used to love
every
those.
tool. Oh,
You used to have a knife collection,
the
actually, pocket knife
multi-tool
collection.
and Zippos, right?
That's right. That my craziest like Swiss Army knife though, it had a toothpick on one side and it had tweezers.
That was my favorite.
On the other side. What the hell kind of combination of stuff?
Well, because you know you're out there and you just killed some big game and you got some meat in your thing. Oh, I got a sliver though, so you got to take. You know what I mean? There's useful things out in the wilderness.
you paint 2 pictures for me immediately.
You know.
Hey, I'm sold. I already had the knife. I'll buy it again. I'll get it out of the basement.
What I was confused about is that tiny ass magnifying glass. What the fuck are you using that tiny ass magnifying glass out there?
Oh, that's for old folks who can afford those knives. You know what I wish this thing had was a goddamn magnifying glass. I can't read a thing.
Well, one of those older guys, that's what they use to read the paper, just around their neck dangling, and just pull that out. Just
Shit.
New York Times.
That's something we'll get over with technology is eye bullshit.
Man.
Sight.
Wearable lenses, dude. When
Bionic
that comes,
eyes.
it'll just change right to your brain. It'll just bypass your eyes entirely, and it'll just go right to your brain.
We received a 1080p signal and converted it to 48K.
Yeah, right. It's just literally just transmitting what you see. Actually, speaking of technology books, sci-fi books, one of the coolest ones I read was called Rainbow's End, and in it was all about like eventually wearable technology, right? So the world around everybody kind of goes to shit because they all have contacts in, and they kind of project their vision around them.
Yeah, talk about living in a bubble.
Exactly.
The bubble is just in front of your contact.
Everything's 3D. I think everything's 3D printed, but they're like, it's all modular because it doesn't matter because nobody's looking at the architecture anymore. Everyone's creating the architecture and imprinting whatever they want on it. So like,
oh my God, that's a great concept.
The thrust of the book is like an older guy who was a poet laureate in his like 80s or 90s. He hits the genetic lottery and all of these technologies to make people younger and like correct all the stuff. He hits the jackpot, and it like allows him to go back to being like 17. So he still has the same personality, but some of his memories are kind of wiped and he's a little foggy, but he's still like, now he's like 17, but now he's relearning like life and society and all this stuff. And it's it's interesting. He goes to school with his granddaughter who's totally plugged into everything, and he's like, what the fuck is all this shit? Like,
sounds like some Twilight Zone.
It is
torture shit.
His wife dies, so he's so bitter, and then like they're destroying all these books. They're destroying libraries because we don't need these books anymore. It's a really cool story. It's a really cool story. But my favorite part is when the three kids are walking to school and they each have like the different vision on, and one's like in the medieval setting and they're all on knights and like there's dragons.
It's different time periods too.
Right. You could just do
it's putting like a cowboy hat on some motherfucker like over across the street.
You literally can like put, like I can dress you, right? I can dress you. I can change you to whatever you want.
Well,
right?
yeah, of course. If you can change a building.
And like the way they do it was
dress.
Just like they like stand there and like they kind of.
That is so fucking ridiculous.
It's crazy, right?
That's so funny.
But yeah,
how would you do that? Like, let's go back to business ideas and apps, just to implement this in real life, just to keep this, innovation incubator going.
Come on.
That's because that's what this is technically for business purposes.
Yeah, this is business time.
The name of this podcast is now 1% inspiration, 99% perspiration.
You heard it here.
So I'm just gonna give you the 1% inspiration. You come back with that 99% perspiration. You can have all these ideas. Just give Papa a taste. Yeah, just give Papa's a taste.
Oh man,
give us a little bit.
That's a hilarious thought, dude. That's squatty potty idea they had. That's money, and then we just get this check for $10,000.
I can like list this on like the business iTunes podcast too, and it'll be like way more entertaining than those fuckface like shitty entrepreneurial startup type ones. Like
financial advisor here.
Every good entrepreneur is willing to work 80 hours for himself, so he doesn't have to work 40 hours for someone else.
It's perfect. That's fucking perfect.
I'm Ira Crass. That was also my business proposal.
Everyone just turned this podcast out. Wow, everyone just turned off right there.
Well, I mean, that's a pretty powerful moment. The Ira Glass ripoff.
Yeah. Wow.
And the mushroom cloud has settled. Fantastic.
It is now 50 seconds.
Why don't you flash your rings?
This makes me feel like a creeper. I don't want to talk about this.
Weird.
This is my
wearing
new
rings
my
on
new
each
fidget
of his
spinner.
Finger.
Yeah, it's like a fidget spinner idea I have. I just connected these 4 rings together and I play with them.
Yeah, in series. And so they're on his 4 fingers of his left hand. They look like tiny silver knucks.
They do, right?
Little scary knucks.
You just kind of twiddle around with them.
Do you ever like flash that to people to see how they react to you? Like, see if they get a little freaked out?
Sometimes I forget I'm just messing with them, and I just like, I'll be talking, and someone's like, what the hell's on your hands? And I'm like, oh yeah, nothing. Don't worry about it, dude.
You should act like really embarrassed and then refuse to talk about it with people.
This is my new invention. That's what I'm going to start doing now.
Hold it to the sky.
I'm going to be like, this is my new brilliant invention.
This.
Papa want a taste?
Yes.
That's my new go-to.
Papa want a taste?
I like that.
Good. You can have that. This is also a catchphrase incubator.
I'm just going to borrow that. Just every now and then I throw it out there. But I'm going to give that hard ass.
You can license that for 5 cents a use. 5 cents an occasion.
I'm just going to give you $1 off the bat.
I was going to say you only have to pay every $1. Yeah, every 20 times you use it.
Perfect.
Honor system, by the way.
Yeah, of course.
Honor system. You probably be calling me every like 25 years. Be like, I hit 25 years.
Listen, I had
20 instances.
only like $5. You're like, what? It was a busy day.
Extremely busy.
I like that. Business idea. Catchphrase generator for someone,
Why not? Those fucking AI robots aren't doing that shit. Give me a break. It's got to be us.
It'd be very obnoxious for robots to do it. It wouldn't make sense, right? They'd have weird and like.
It'd be too good. You know,
Cowabunga,
too
bro.
on the
It's like,
nose.
that's
Yeah,
just...
it's like it's funny. Those are funny syllables, and you're saying them right and funny, but it's not funny.
Not funny. Missing that human
Those
element.
intangibles. Yeah. You're talking about trying to get these robots to do certain things. I don't know how the algorithms work or how they're going to be programmed, whatever, to actually feel funny or to be funny.
We make them flip now.
If you were like looking to put someone in comedy school, though, if you wanted to put like a human through comedy school, what would a sequence of events be? Would you start with improv, then do a course in stand-up, then do a course in like comedy writing, maybe like a show sitcom?
I would start with the lowest form of comedy, mime. And
I
then
thought you say farting and farting into the pillow. And,
funny story. I have a friend who thinks improv is the lowest form of comedy, and I did not know that. And we went to an improv show, and he was just fucking hilarious.
He's ripping on him.
Oh, it's just terribly like, let's just watch some people go up there and play around and just, like, it's fucking, what is that? Like the idea, like, what's improv? It is literally just people up there playing around,
Making
right?
it up.
But it's not real. Like, there's no real structure to it, right? People just fuck around, right? So he just gets.
I thought you were gonna say that. I thought he was gonna say something super sarcastic, and I was gonna be like, "Oh, well, this is really smart." Oh, I thought you were gonna say something like that. I was gonna say, I think sarcasm is the worst form of comedy.
Yeah, man.
It's like being a dick
Just being
about what someone else just said.
Right? Hipster is the lowest form.
It can be lazy. That hipster, sarcastic shit can be kind of lazy.
Shitting on stuff for shit's sake, I guess.
Create your own thing.
Yeah.
That sort of thing.
Yeah.
Happens.
But I don't know. That's a great question. Like, how would you like introduce them? Would you show them like early like Charlie Chaplin silent films?
Right.
And
Would you
then,
go in
like,
the order that you got it?
You know what I mean? Like, start at the beginning and be like, see, this is what used to be funny, and then this is what became funny, and then was super funny back then, but it's not funny anymore, and you can't laugh at it, right? Like, there's some...
I don't know. I think nowadays, because someone's living in this society, I think you'd have to start with a Dave Chappelle clip. Then you can go back and play them Who's on First.
Yeah.
Or some sort of like classic comedy thing.
I feel like you
I say you
got
to jump back and forth.
Really?
That's kind of how we had it. I had it, You have the past. You have a lot of recorded history, source material, a lot of comedy in the 70s, 80s, 90s as we were growing up. But...
we don't movies.
People get too bored.
Movies,
I think just the speed of comedy has changed, just like the speed of movies and everything has changed. It's more honest now, and if you try to like look at the old stuff, you'd be fucking exhausted.
Right. Comedians now. There are millions of comedians now, right?
Maybe they're better than ever.
So many good comedians. I was listening to somebody talking about comedians on another podcast.
Of course.
And they were
the lifeblood.
They were talking about how they listen, and he's a pretty famous comedian. He's talking about how he listens to Sirius XM and listens to just comedians, and he'll hear somebody and they'll be super funny and he'll catch their name and that's it. He'll never hear it again. But it was super solid and good, but there's just so much out there. There's so many good personalities out there now. It's a lot different if you go back, 20, 30 years. You'd only have to be on got to go on Carson, right? That was how you used to do it.
Although I also just heard, I think, a comedian podcast type thing, where there used to be a lot of dudes on Carson.
Yes.
Like per year.
Yes.
Like there were like 50 comedians a year or some shit like that.
Oh, man.
So in some ways...
R.I.P. Johnny Carson. Your death anniversary was the 23rd of January.
Do you know that?
I do know that.
Wow.
I'm a big Johnny Carson fan.
Wait, 23rd, that's tomorrow.
That's yesterday.
Wait, was it 24th?
Yeah.
I said 22nd earlier.
Did you?
I did. You just went right with it. I thought you were yes-anding me or something.
Yes, I was. I probably was. That's usually the deal. But yeah, it's because he died yesterday, and the anniversary was yesterday. And
I've been meaning to go back and check out some Johnny Carson stuff. I haven't really seen his back catalog. Talking about going back to history.
Yeah.
It's just kind of a different context. Speaking of, I would love to see them smoking though, and seeing some of that stuff.
It's super fun.
Like you can't see anymore.
I got Don Rickles. I just love Don Rickles, and Don Rickles was on Carson a lot.
He just would come on and rip people, right?
Yeah, he's just Mr. Warmth, they called him. But he talk about sarcastic, like his whole shtick was going up and like, picking you apart, right? And just tearing you apart, numbskull,
Look, there's a reason it's used a lot. It's good. It works.
He's just really
it's a hell
funny.
of a pry bar to get those laughs out of people.
He goes up to, and then the big clip is him going up to Frank Sinatra. Frank Sinatra's on Carson, and then Rickles comes out and just starts roasting Sinatra.
Hey, old Blue Eyes, your last record really blew. It was terrible.
It's more a derogatory on his Italianism,
okay.
Like he's mobbed up. He's like, Jimmy Garbanzo Bean, he was, he called me the other day, he took care of the problem, and everyone's just roaring, right?
Yeah, sure.
Mobbed up Sinatra.
Hey, that does sound like an easy joke though. For
It is.
Sinatra.
It is.
You know, I'm trying some wordplay. You know,
But he
working
was
for
such a king at the time, so to go against the king, blah,
chairman
blah, blah.
of the board.
Exactly. But then you start watching more Carson, and then he's just great. It's great. There's a reason why there was just him, and now there's like a billion variations.
There's
on
multiple
him.
options.
The desk, the interviewer, him. He's just created this thing.
I don't know. A lot of people who would do stuff like we're doing now, being on a podcast, they would love to like host a late night show or have a late night show. Yeah. This is basically that. I mean, we're both without an audience or whatever. That's kind of part of the experience too.
Exactly.
I think being amped up in front of a live studio audience,
interviewing somebody, having a conversation with somebody, talking about fun things, right? Joking, that kind of thing. It's a fun atmosphere.
Absolutely. Have you ever dreamed of having your own?
Fuck yeah. Oh yeah. Being a late night host? I think
Were my suspicions correct?
I think I'd be a great late night host. I think that's one job that I could like score at. I think I don't have the looks for it, but I think I have the personality for it.
He just finger gunned the boom stand, if anyone's curious.
For those listeners.
Excellent hit. You do have the skills for that.
But, bullseye.
Hey, maybe that could be the project you could start. You talk about maybe trying to start something.
I would do
just
like
have a late night show in your basement.
Just me in my basement doing a late night show.
I would love that shit. Talk about a hang.
Yeah, but then of course I'd have people come over and like be my guests, right? Yeah. And just like, well, who's this guy? Well, this is a guy I know. What's up? What's up, James? How you doing? Yeah, good.
To be honest, I think my preferred format for talk show stuff like that is sort of like Bill Maher's, where there's like a panel.
Yes.
He used to do Politically Incorrect with like 4 people.
Yes.
His current show is now like a panel with 3 people. I would do that, where like it's me and 3 others, or me and 4 others, whatever. Different perspectives. Trying to get some sort of intellectual fodder.
Yeah, I like that. I like the multiple guests with multiple opinions on that kind of thing when you do a talk show. Graham Norton. You ever watch Graham Norton?
No, I've seen clips.
He's another one of my all-time favorite guys. Like I love his talk shows. I like talk shows, dude.
Dick Cavett too, and like that, right?
Oh man, we did talk about Dick Cavett. Dick Cavett was
my coworker loves Dick Cavett now, so now I'm getting pressure from everyone to check out Dick Cavett.
His YouTube channel just kind of came out. So
really?
Not just came out, but it started posting a lot more stuff.
Oh, cool.
He's another guy with a huge back catalog of interviews, but he is a lot different than Carson though.
How long was he on the air?
He was on. So he was a writer for Johnny Carson. And then he got his own spin-off show.
No shit.
Yes, and then so he was doing his own thing because it was like almost like a Conan situation where he was a writer and then he jumped on from the screen and then he became like an interviewer, but he was a lot more like tongue-in-cheek and stuff about it.
He was like the Letterman. He was a more sarcastic, counterculture.
He tried to make it like highbrow. He would have real serious things, but then sometimes it would like escalate, and there would be he had a lot of famous like interactions with people. There's like who is it? There's one that was just up there.
John Lennon punches.
Yeah, he does have like all the Beatles on, and that's super interesting. He interviews all those guys.
I've seen some of the clips because I did search it once.
Gore Vidal and oh my god, there's another like famous writer from that era who just are like going at each other, and that gets a kind of a cat
That's
fight.
amazing though. To get real emotion, authenticity from people.
He has Joe Brown, who is a quarterback, or I can't remember. He's a big famous Richard Pryor. Jim Brown. Thank you. Yes, thank you. Jim Brown. I was gonna say Richard Pryor is his friend's Richard Pryor. Richard Pryor jokes about him all the time. Jim Brown. Jim Brown's on Dick Cavett with the former governor of Alabama.
You're trying to pull some hard quotes.
Alabama.
Or some hard names from like 40 years ago and shit.
But I'm almost doing it. But they They get into it, because it's about racism and all this stuff. And the guy, like the governor, kind of runs away, and Jim Brown's there, and they're arguing about racism and how like it's institutionalized. And he's like, "No, you belong with your people."
Oh god.
And it's just like you're watching this, you're like, "Holy fuck!" This guy is like straight up like, "No, you're black and you belong over there, and this is and you're just like. It's very, considering in the world we live in now, it's just very like, you think it's bad, but that's so foreign. That's so, and then Jim Brown has to just take it, right? When you just want him to like cold cock this guy, But,
because right in this instance, it sounds like they just gave a platform to someone with very unfortunate.
But it was supposed to be a discussion. But that was Dick Cavett's thing. He wanted like a discussion about race and like he would try to push those boundaries.
There is that perspective where you don't actually try to give someone a voice. Like I've heard this specifically about. I don't think it applies for all situations. I actually like it when things are generally talked about. But I think the best example I've heard is about global warming. If you have like global warming debates, you're setting up the precedent that there's something to debate.
Yes.
And it's kind of a fucked up precedent for something as cut and dry as the fact that there has been global warming, regardless of the instances in which or whatever caused that.
Debating flat Earth.
That sort of thing.
Right.
That sort of thing.
We need to talk about this. No. This was settled like 1,000 years ago.
It's just entertainment. If you're gonna have 10 million views on a YouTube video for flat Earth debate, it's not because something of value should have been seen 10 million times. It's just that was entertainment for 10 million people. I mean, it's not really accomplishing anything.
It's not.
Or it could be fodder for, again, bad actors, bad audiences, whatever. But I guess, there are those moments, though, I guess bad ideas get out in a mainstream enough way so that people can come out against them, Obviously, a lot of Trump's bad ideas have been on the airwaves, and a lot of people have come out in protest and opposition.
Just the idea that, like again, it's more you can just say bullshit and people start believing it, and it's like, well, if enough people start saying it, it's like, well, no, they believe it. It's like, no, that's not vaccines. It's been proven that the vaccine thing was bullshit, right?
Earlier when I was trying to be positive about like the real news, the correct news winning out, I think it's too inefficient to have disinformation just because it's exhausting. When you're telling the truth, you never have to remember anything because you were there and there's other people to back you up and remind you about shit. But when you've constructed your own reality, there's actually a lot of intellectual work you have to do over time, especially to maintain that.
The mental gymnastics.
You have to stay in your town, you have to stay in your friend group, you have to stay on your websites, and you can't get outside of those circles, of those habits.
But again, you get outside of it and you're in your circle so much that it doesn't matter. The bullets bounce off you. So even if they do tell you the real thing, you know what I mean?
But there would have to be, in the same way you were saying, like there's no way to have a profit motive for it, or you have to find a way to quantify it to actually change people's behavior. I'm curious, what's the profit motive for disinformation? For everything, for the end of time. Like, yes, it could sow discord in a certain election, but like, is it just going to stay forever? I mean, it just seems too inefficient with the way things are currently connected and the way things operate. I'm being optimistic. Again,
you are.
I'm trying to be.
I want to feel that way.
I think you can justify it. It's expensive. Those Russian trolls. Russia's paying money to have these Russian troll factories. That's an expense. They're investing.
What it's doing. Look how much it's paying for us in gangbusters, right?
Well, sure, but if the day it stops paying,
right,
they shut that troll factory down. I mean, who's paying for this shit? There has to be a reason.
How much easier, right? This is the big globalist conspiracy. How much easier is it to control populations that are divided, that don't agree on the same things, that are kept partisan, right?
I mean, I do believe that to some degree, yeah.
Right.
Sure.
So if we're more partisan on every issue, right? If you believe in flat Earth and now you're left or right, and now it's science.
If everything's up for debate, then you shouldn't be for sure debating about economic policy or these things that are difficult to debate about.
Right. We're talking about. We're still talking about abortion.
That's how it works.
We're still talking about abortion. We're still, we're going to take their gun. It's like stupid nonsense that keeps us divided.
Okay.
And that keeps us from making progress. Look at right now, even this impeachment, which whatever, it's all the time and energy we're spending on this thing that's been created, we're not doing anything for us as a people, right?
Think of that cost, at least in what we could have been working on.
So I don't think
tax dollars that are being spent on the trial today.
Crazy
what
amount
that
of
could
money.
have been. What that could have been. Yeah.
So I don't necessarily think that disinformation is gonna live forever, but I think right now it's a useful tool to keep the information overflow of people in check, right?
Yeah.
Like the idea is all of this information, all this technology could get everybody together, but keeping everybody separate, keeping everybody from realizing what all these tools that they have at hand.
I used the coined information age to describe the current era we're in earlier. It makes sense in the information age. You would use incorrect or false information to your advantage. I mean, if you just look at the overarching and the most prevalent thing in society, the thing that's going to have the biggest impact or, have the most number of touch points, we just have to figure out what's after the information age.
Ugh.
What's the next age?
Those fat people in Wall-E in the chairs,
there you go. I was hoping you'd say that. I didn't know if it was going to be the contact thing or if it was going to be the fat people in Wall-E.
I mean, it's like, there you go. I mean, did you see that they made the chair? Like the chair is developed now.
Oh, did they?
It's like straight up, literally it's like a recliner, and you're in a tripod, and you can just you're just sitting there, waiting for the feeding tube to come.
People are going to buy those.
Idiocracy.
What can you describe to me everything that's in it? I'm trying to think. Does it have a bathroom in it?
It's got to have a hole. You know what I mean?
It has a feeding structure?
Yeah, probably. I imagine it's got to have a tube in your mouth, a little screen, so that if you're not looking at your big screen, you're automatically distracted by the smaller screen.
Second screen.
Right, and then you have obviously finger controls.
Oh, fingers. Fuck that. I'm going to be talking.
Back massager, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
you got to have something in there, so you're just like, my back hurts because I'm just sitting in this chair all day. Let me just massage it, that kind of thing. And then, obviously you can recline even further so you can sleep on it, right?
So you never have to get off.
Yeah, why would you have to get off? And obviously, yeah, like I said, there's bathroom controls. There's just a hole, deposit it. But it's like a suit from Dune where it just recycles all your liquids, so you're just re-drinking your own stuff.
Oh, dear God, you've made it terrible.
Well, come on, it's like, your self-sustaining system at that point.
No, I got you. You're right. The sun that shines off your ass is going to a solar panel.
Photosynthesis, it's creating all this goop in there that then you just like, it's just, that's it.
It's worth a shot. I don't know if that's going to be the next era. What's that going to be called? The WALL-E era? The Pixar era?
Yeah.
The
sedentary era.
Yeah, it has to be something without moving.
Mm-hmm.
The Frozen era. The
Stasis era.
Yeah, I was gonna go to decay immediately, but stasis is better.
Stasis,
when you're fat and happy like that, like you can be healthy, but you're not thriving.
Just kind of baselining it.
Yeah,
baselining. Not
the optimum state. You always got to reach. That's where all those people. That's why they're doing those world records and shit.
Yeah, don't stop.
Trying to swim across lakes.
3,000 miles in a rowboat. You know what I'm saying?
Can we talk about the logistics of that briefly?
Oh my God!
If we had to do that, if we were in the rowboat,
yeah,
what would you want there to be present? Without consulting with the rowboat experts first, just what comes to mind if we had to plan this trip and do it alone for some reason?
I don't know. I'd want some podcasting equipment.
100%. I'm glad you said it. I'm glad you said it first.
I mean, we'd have to do some casts from the sea.
And just why waste your time?
We're out there for hours and hours,
And even if one of us is rowing, like one person's huffing and puffing, they can like keep the other person going.
Well, one will hold the mic for the other one, and then you switch off, and then
I'm worried about like being out of breath though, and then that sounding terrible. Like, I think that's the thing. That'd be terrible. The wind's so strong. I think the person who's not rowing talks for an hour.
Oh.
Then you switch.
And then you rebuttal.
The person rebutes everything that the other person had just said that previous hour.
That's hilarious. Because you could think like right after, that motherfucker, it's so wrong, and just like particularly contrarian stuff.
And just stew for that hour.
That's great. So it'd be a really contentious robot. So by the end, we just said some pretty horrible things to 3,000 miles.
We can mic up the oars too to see if someone like squeaks it extra hard when they're clearly getting pissed off.
I hear you squeaking it.
Come with all sorts of different indicators.
I guess you'd have to have some like music, maybe like a some. You have to have some form of entertainment, right?
Cooler. I would say 28-inch LED television.
Minimum.
Maybe OLED.
Minimum. Oh yeah.
OLED.
A Bible.
a Bible hollowed out
with a gun inside in case it gets way too nuts.
With a gun that's actually painted like it's the Bible somehow.
Well, pirates. What if there's pirates?
Oh, pirates show up?
You know what I mean? Like you got some Somali pirates in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean.
I don't think people are going to pirate the podcast. They can just get it for free online.
What if we're in a rowboat and they see us as, galleymen, and we end up on the oars of some frickin' pirate fleet?
We'll steal your intellectual property.
Yeah, right.
Your intellectual property.
The sea of information.
Copyright.
The sea of information we're creating with our words.
Do you have a pirate voice? Can you scare them off if they come up?
Yar, matey.
Oh, that's great. Jesus, why did I even question you?
Of course I do. Look at the beard, sir.
You didn't think that a man like myself would have a pirate voice, did ya?
I have a pretty piratey beard.
You do?
I mean, I don't know. Maybe I do.
No, that in terms of pirate facial hair.
I guess. Now I say it, I'm like, look at how grungy this is.
That's the beard right there. What do you think makes it pirate-like as opposed to just normal facial hair? I guess for people not listening, you have kind of a goatee thing going on, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's pretty scraggly.
Mainly a goatee, but you have some riffraff on the side. It's not like
It's kind of roguish, goatee. Right? It looks very roguish, right?
Yeah.
It's very like...
Looks like you're plotting something.
Yeah, evil. Twisted. A couple of times I've grown this part out so it kind of twirls like
Satan
Jafar.
Thing. It's just the Satan imagery.
Do the Jafar. Yeah, that's right. I'm
just
Jafar.
A
mini Satan. Oh, yeah. Actually,
Jafar's good too.
I've gotten it grown out, and then it gets... It literally did the curl. So I'd pull it. It was so long I was pulling it, and I was loving it. But then I ended up trimming it up, and
That's a lot to get to that level.
It is.
Yeah.
It took a minute.
Looking at some of the older episodes, I had a beard in some of them. And I was like,
you did. We talked about your beard because I was like, it was so majestic. And then you shaved it off, and then I was like, why would you do that? You slapped God in the face or something like that.
And now you're like, my beard made me a pirate.
Yeah, I know I'm a pirate.
I wanted you to be in the pirate gang.
You're a Viking. I'm a pirate. Okay.
Hey, that's right.
Right?
That's right. I forgot about that. The Scandinavian pirates.
Exactly.
Other things for the rowboats, I would say crystal clear bottom, but we could turn on like that Tesla technology or whatever, where it like can make it opaque quickly,
Ooh,
so we can either look into the water, or if it's getting scary.
Oh God, I can't.
Not look at
Thalassophobia.
What is that?
Thalassophobia.
I have no clue.
That is the fear of the deep, dark ocean.
Really?
Yes.
Do you have this, or are you well educated?
Mildly, but it's like not really. But I just find it fascinating because like it is very interesting. Like those pictures of like just the deep dark. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's freaky.
Or like these like
infinite.
the idea of like a tentacle coming up from just like pulling you, to the dark depths.
I wonder how much of that is like culturally ingrained from thought of like hell being from below, or how much of it is like generally bad. Like if below in general is worse, and above in general is better. Like people put their hands up toward the sky, and like I think there are universal things across different religions and obviously sapient groups
Looking up,
where people look up for good things, for accomplishments,
Where
and
we
then
used to
bow their head
hide.
in shame, look down to the ground when something terrible has happened.
used to hide up in the trees, right? For safety.
Oh, that's right. Thank you.
Safety's up in the trees, right?
Tie it in. Also, my God is the sun. That type of shit.
Yeah.
The sun rises into the sky.
I mean, that's what gives you sustenance in life. It's all above
Yeah,
you,
that's where the heat is.
And then what do you do with your dead? You bury the dead, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can't let them rot. You got to put them in the ground, right? It's like natural. We
Yeah.
could create our own religion on this podcast just by natural,
That might be a good podcast too, is creating other religions. Each podcast you like have to flesh out a new religion.
Oh,
You have to talk about, the marriage ceremony. You got to talk about whether you can enjoy the fun stuff, smoke
How
marijuana,
serious it
obviously, and
is,
sort of
right.
alcohol.
Yeah.
You have to talk about your rules.
I would
what
like a
meat?
super authoritarian, self-flagellation, real fucking like medieval shit. You need to show that invisible man up there that you love him and he is your
Sacrifices
Yes.
or what?
maybe not, human sacrifices. You know what? I just the Greeks were interesting because they sacrificed their gods. They would cook the meats, but then they could eat the meats because the gods would really be there for the aroma. It's the aroma that the gods are getting because they can't really eat the meat.
How
but they
fucking
can
convenient.
smell, isn't it? So here's this roast lamb for
Oh,
the
the gods love the smell. Gods love the smell of filet
lamb and the
mignon.
goat, but it's for us to eat. It's a burnt offering, but it's the aroma that they get off on.
I suppose.
I'm just saying.
I'm telling you though, you ever try to take someone out to a meal and be like, hey, I know you love the smell of filet mignon. Just get a whiff off of this and then watch me eat this.
Well, if you're an immortal god that
fuck
can only
you.
eat ambrosia,
And only huff carne asada, apparently. Can only get down on that. That's going to be what they're into.
Absolutely.
Let's end on that.
All right.
We gotta call it.
All right.
I can't look at the computer again.
Oh,
I'm
no.
cold. I gotta get more hot water.
All right. Yeah, we need hot water. All right, everybody. 15th anniversary spectacular. Calling it.
Join us for the 16th anniversary spectacular, which is the very next episode.
That's on the 25th or 6th, maybe.
I'm looking at this one. This one's dead for sure. Look at your main cam. Blow a kiss. 15.